Mike Detillier along with John Fourcade. John, I took a little bit of heat last week, and I know probably you did too, picking Mississippi State to beat LSU, but I don't think any of us thought, after watching 3.5 quarters, that Mississippi State would have totally dominated this football game, 34-29. The crazy thing is, at the final play, you actually had a chance to steal this game away from Mississippi State, but for 3.5 quarters, done. I mean, they absolutely punched LSU in the mouth physically, offensive, defensive line, and Dak Prescott played huge.
You know, you hit the nail on the head with the word physically. I think LSU, if you'd have told me LSU got out physical by a Mississippi State team, I'd have said, wait a second, he's both in the SEC, one of them gets better players, you know, they're ranked higher. Mississippi State came to play. Mississippi State's offensive line and defensive line won that game, other than having a real good quarterback, but they dominated up front, Mike, and you would never expected to see an LSU team get dominated up front. And you know, here's a play right here. Just a bad coverage, good coverage, but a bad coverage. You let them get to the corner route, and you shouldn't do that. This is the turning point in the game right here. Toss the football, son, and he walks in with a lead blocker.
John, all I know is these two quarterbacks have played in the pistol most of their careers. You got to do more of that than what you're seeing at LSU today. But it was Prescott and Robinson's rushing ability right up the middle. You see it on this play. One guy touches him, and he basically goes 55 yards without anybody even around him until he makes a corner turn here. LSU's defense up the middle was absolutely terrible. Listen, look at this improvisational play. He gets flushed out of the pocket a little bit, buys a little time, throws it out in the flat, and that's it. He's out into open field after that.
Well, it's a situation where you're playing a mobile quarterback for Mississippi State who is dominating the SEC right now. Him and a guy named Bo Wallace from Ole Miss are two best quarterbacks in SEC. But as far as the LSU's quarterback scenario here, Mike, you know, I blame the recruiting people. How do you go out and get players you call dual threat, but your coaching staff that runs the offense don't call dual threat quarterback situational play? You want to be the Zach Mecklenburger style under the center, pro style offense, but you go out and get quarterbacks who don't play your system. That's the coaching fault right there. If you're going to do these guys any justice, get to the scheme of things that they're capable of doing. If it's in the shotgun or it's in the pistol or whatever it may be, these quarterbacks aren't comfortable for LSU being under center and maybe reading a little bit. It's totally different. If you watch here, you know, at the end of the game, you know, he's scrambling out, rolling. You got a shot here, you got a chance to win the football game, and that's a shocker because in the third quarter, you knew this game was over with, and they fought back when they changed their quarterbacks.
One of the things, too, is we saw the emergence of Brandon Harris in this football game. And listen, I've said this from start to finish. Anthony Jennings starts the season at quarterback. Brandon Harris finishes it. But his rapport with Malachi Dupree, now, everything was kind of funneled to Traven Durrell, and I would too, because he's been on fire. But you got to get other people involved. Malachi Dupree really stepped up big in this football game, but I think you see the rapport between him and Brandon Harris really has worked well.
Well, what you don't want to happen now is now you got Harris getting a football game. He's throwing all his passes to Malachi Dupree, where he's doing what Jennings was doing with Durrell. So it's got to be a situation. There's no tight end play right now. You got to find tight ends. You got to throw the ball to your running backs. Come on, use your running back. Use Quinn. I mean, you have to be multitasking on the offensive side of football. And I'm going to blame Cam Cameron for the way that his scheme of things are, and even maybe Les Miles, maybe he's got a little bit of control of Cam Cameron because they are not opening up their offense, and their running game is null and void. Overall, you got talented players on both sides of football, but you got to play Harris this week because the fact that give him a chance to start the game. Don't come in, give him a chance to start and see what he does as a starting quarterback for you.
All I know is Cam Cameron was at Indiana with a guy named Antoine Randall. Now, they didn't run power football there.
No.
That was option football, so to speak, and they spread the field out. So, I mean, Cam has done that in the past with quarterbacks, and he's adjusted to the talent on hand. The most disturbing thing, too, is LSU's defense right up their gut. John, I mean, Josh Robinson really had a terrific game. Unbelievable that he was in the same backfield at Franklinton with Terrence McGee. But Josh really went off on him. But it was the holes Mississippi State had up front. Their offensive line just beat the stew out of LSU's defensive front seven.
It don't matter if the center was stomping on you or not. They dominated Mississippi State's line, dominated. I kept watching through the game with LSU. They patting their heads, Mike, get me out of the game. They were sucking wind, out of breath, and they rotated a lot of players. The linebacking core for LSU is
non-existent.
There's nothing you can say good about their linebacking core.
Other than Quan.
Yeah,
Quan
at moments he plays,
well.
but the rest of the guys are just undersized, can't play for them. And the defensive line rotating all these players, Mike, that's great to rotate them in, but you better find at least 3 or 4 of them who can play.
One of the things, too, is you've recruited a lot of 5-star recruits on defensive tackle. And where's his development? Other than Christian Lacouture, you have not developed any of these guys. So, hey, listen, the finger gets pointed at Brick Haley here, that you've got to develop these young kids. You can't wait until they're a junior before they perform for you. You don't have time because you're losing guys so quickly to the National Football League. And Tulane went to Duke and for a half, played competitive football, but a turnover late in the first half kind of swung the tide big for Duke.
Yeah, if you look at Tulane here, they came in early, played well, ran the ball well again. Tanner Lee something's wrong with him right now. He's throwing too many INTs, and he's been throwing 1 INT a game for a touchdown. So it's a situation you got to be concerned with right now from Tulane. What's going on with your team right now? You've got an opportunity. You're playing against teams that are pretty much on the same level as you. You should be more competitive. I didn't see this after the first quarter.
Yeah, I thought they really played well, had a shot late in the second quarter, but the big turnover after they were running the football and really gouging Duke really well. David Cutcliffe even brought it up at halftime. We got to stop the run on this football team. 47-13, though, Duke just absolutely blew them out. Again, John, 5 turnovers by Tulane. You ain't going to win a lot of games when you have 5 turnovers in a football game. Now you play a team very similar in Rutgers, a big physical football team that can run the ball well, and also they're pretty good at passing the ball.
Well, you're going on the road too. You're going up northeast, New York to play against Rutgers, and here's the situation right now. I'm looking at the scenario with Tulane, and I said this before the year. I see him losing 5 or 6 football games this year because I just don't think that they're capable right now. They're young. I think their quarterback's going to make mistakes. He's throwing the ball around. I just don't know yet if Tanner Lee, he needs help, offensive line-wise. But where's the defense for Tulane? Last year they won by defense. This year there's no defense.
Their back 7 last year really kind of saved their bacon. This year they aren't making the plays. It's almost like the Saints, you're waiting for them to make a play. It doesn't happen for the Tulane secondary, which is really still got a lot of good quality players from a year ago. We'll be back with more of the John Fourcade Show, sponsored each week by Veterans Ford. We'll be right back.